We are going to try our best to keep this one under 3 minutes long because, hello YouTube Shorts. Hello and welcome back to the Athlantic Weekend Replay. Now, I know in tennis, the Australian Open's just started and the Masters Snooker has kicked off, but unfortunately this week just belongs completely to football. Now, starting in the UK, and Rangers and Celtic are both holding talks about entering the WSL in England, which would be massive for 3 reasons. Number one, those 2 teams are the biggest brands in Scottish women's football. So abandoning that league for the commercial success of the WSL below the English-Scottish border would probably decimate revenues in the Scottish game. Number 2, this is the first season that the WSL has split from its governance under the FA. Now that, when that was announced a couple of years ago, it sparked fears that the WSL would become a closed American-style league with no promotion or relegation. And entering 2 teams from outside the FA's jurisdiction kind of supports those fears. And number 3, some commentators, and honestly I agree, they're using the women's team to bring Rangers and Celtic into the WSL might set an important precedent for bringing the men's team into the Premier League and the EFL. Below the border, we have the FA Cup third round, the first round where Premiership teams are added to the FA Cup. It's normally the most exciting, most fun weekend of the football calendar, but this year it kind of underdelivered. I think Plymouth were the only team that managed to pull off a giant killing against Brentford. And then if we move over to Spain, we had an incredible El Clasico between Barcelona and Real Madrid. We finished 5-2. It had everything: penalties, free kicks, red cards, a wonder goal. Please go and check out the highlights. Unfortunately, like the Coppa Italiana last week, the game was played in Jeddah, so sport washing. Okay, flipping to the US, and I'm afraid it is still football. I have to hold my hands up. I completely jinxed the Steelers in early December. They crashed out of the wild card against Ravens, who will join the Bills, Chiefs, Texans, Chargers, Eagles, Commanders, and the Lions in the divisional games this coming weekend. However, that is the least exciting football because the college football playoff final will be played next Tuesday between Notre Dame and Ohio State. Ohio State ran away with the last quarter 83-yard fumble return to bury Texas, but the Notre Dame game was amazing against Penn State. It was a classic. They had a late field goal to drag themselves into the final with only 8 seconds on the clock. It's going to be a shame that we don't see that Penn State defense in the final. And that is going to have to do us there. With this shorter format, we'll condense these replays with a little bit less detail, and we'll pump overtime episodes out with bigger topics. And finally, your last mystery athlete clue, because next week I'm going to tell you who it is. My mystery athlete was in the original Space Jam.